My friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is David, and it's been a little bit. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I had end of term grading that just completely blitzed. I had an illness that ran through our entire family across probably 2.5 weeks, just cycling from one to the other. And then just I've got a book that I'm cramming through that we'll be talking about later. I've been trying to force myself to blitz through, and it's taking up a lot of time to get through that. And just trying to take 2 steps back to see the path forward. So I'm going to come to you today with a birthday haul. It's not big, don't worry. A little catch up on what I've been reading. But I want to start off first and say that this weekend I will attempt to, I'm not promising to, but I will attempt to get my video up where I take care of the last pieces of business that I left open. I'm going to do my Q&A. So those of you that left questions, thank you. It's not too late. If you have questions, feel free to leave some down below. I'm going to spin the wheel to give away a copy of Monster Huntress and a copy of A Merchant in Orient and Other Tales. Both signed. Both going to different people. It's not too late to put your name in. You can leave a comment down below. Let me know you're in. If you were very vague in the last video and didn't say that you were specifically in, you're probably not on the list. So if your comment was just along the lines of, hey, signed copies are always really cool or anything like that, I'm probably not going to count you as in yet. So feel free to leave a comment below for that as well. And spin the wheel a couple of times to get books that have been recommended by you that I will attempt to read before I turn 40. Partly to get, outside my usual comfort zone, my taste, read books that maybe I wouldn't have gotten to otherwise or get to them sooner. But also to help support my local bookstore here in town, because on the 500 book challenge, I'm not really buying books for myself, with very, very, very few exceptions. And so this is my way to help generate a path where I can help support the bookstore and buy the occasional book. So again, you can leave a comment below if you have not already. One book, you can recommend it. It will go into the wheel. I don't know how many times I'm going to spin yet. I was thinking probably around 5. We'll see how it goes. So we are going to talk about what I have gotten. So I bought myself a couple of things just ahead of my birthday, all comic related on this. So I bought issues 1 through 6 of Kitty Pryde and Wolverine. This was a 6-issue mini-series run, I think, in the 80s, where Kitty Pryde and Wolverine both go to Japan, and she ends up earning her alias of Shadowcat. So really cool. I am very much looking forward to reading those. A 3-issue mini-series called Pride and Wisdom. So it says, from the pages of Excalibur. I have not read any Excalibur yet. I've got a little bit of Excalibur on my shelf, but I don't have the earlier issues. So I'm missing like the first 20 to 30 issues. Because I believe I've got the Visionaries, volumes 1, 2, and 3. If memory serves, it picks up around issue 36 or something like that. For volume 1. So I'd love to get the first set of volumes, because I know Kitty Pryde is one of the founding members of Excalibur, so she's in all of them, and I'd love to start where it starts off. So maybe I'll see if I can't get an epic collection on that before I start diving into some Excalibur. And then a 3-issue mini-series, Star-Lord and Kitty Pryde, which looks rather interesting, because you can see Kitty Pryde there. It's got claws. And my understanding is at some point in time, she becomes a part of the Guardians of the Galaxy team, and they become an item. They clearly don't look much like an item here. This is also Battle World, so whatever that happens to be. Also, you see the advertisement there, Secret Wars. and it came out around the time that Ant-Man came in. So, those are the comics. So, on my birthday, I had my birthday last week. One of the things that my wife did was she treated me to take me to one of the bookstores around here and told me pick out some books. So I showed extreme restraint. I said, I've got plenty of books, so I'm going to buy 2. And so that's what I did. And I think I did pretty damn well with the 2 that I picked. So I picked up a copy of Shadow and Claw by Gene Wolfe. This was a used copy. It looks very, very good condition here. You know, a little sticky residue on the back where they had their price sticker on there. I think I got it for like $6. So this is books 1 and 2. So this has got The Shadow of the Torturer and The Claw of the Conciliator. This is the first half of Book of the New Sun. So, books 1 and 2 out of 4. So, at some point in time, I'll probably find the other half. I may wait until I'm reading into this to try to find it. I don't know. I hear really, really, really good things about it. And part of me wants to say that I'll probably start reading it this year, but I know better. It'll probably be a next year thing when I finally get a chance to start it. But if I do start it sooner, I'll be very happy. This is high on my priority list of ones I want to read. And the other one that I got, I actually like even better. And that is The Best of Robert E. Howard, Volume 2, Grim Lands. So, the only of these nice Del Rey Ballantine black trade paperback copies of Robert E. Howard, there's a whole bunch of them. And the only ones I had until my birthday were the 3 Conan volumes. There's a couple others that I really, really want. Bran McMorn, Cull, Solomon Kane, of course. You know, the big 3 other than Conan. The Best of Volume 1, which I do have. I went looking earlier this year on my old Nook library. I don't have my Nook anymore, but I still can download the app and access my library. At some point in time, they must have had a free copy of Best of Robert E. Howard Volume 1. So I read that earlier this year and really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to dive into Volume 2, but I'd love to have a copy of Volume 1 for my shelf. And then there's one, Sword Woman or something along those lines, that I think is probably the top of my list of ones I want to really get my hands on and be able to read. But I want all of them because they all match each other. And I am yet to read something by Robert E. Howard that I did not enjoy. So this is my unofficial way of saying Michael just recently, earlier this week, announced that he's going to be doing all of Conan in September. I'm in. I am so in. I've read about 2/3 of it because I've read 2 of the 3 volumes. I have no problem rereading those. And reading the ones that I haven't read yet. So I am looking forward to more Robert E. Howard in my future. So now we come to the things that I am either currently reading or have finished. So we're going to start with books. I finished 3. That should tell you a little bit of something on how the last almost month has gone for me. 4. I almost forgot. I finished an audiobook just earlier this week. So we have A Fighting Man of Mars by Edgar Rice Burroughs. This was volume 7 out of 11 in the Barsoom series, and really, really enjoying the series. Incredibly fun. And that book is no exception. A return to form. I read Half Human Heroes, edited by Jeremy Fee, and all I can say about this is I am absolutely honored to be among these 9 other fantastic authors. Really enjoyed this. Read all of the stories, I think, across 2 days. And just had an absolute blast. Jeremy did a great job of putting everything together. The authors did a wonderful job with writing the stories. I hope that this becomes successful enough that he does another one maybe next year. I don't know if he's playing on an annual thing or anything like that. But if he does, I'll be writing for it and trying to submit to get accepted into it. And if anybody is thinking about doing a science fiction anthology of booktubers, please let me know, because I will write a story for you. You don't have to promise to accept it. Just let me know that it exists and that you're looking for stories, because I will write for that. And Jeremy, when the next one's getting ready to get in the pipeline, please let me know, because it was so much fun to write for that and so much fun to read that. As you can tell, I'm still, my voice is still not back to where it was. And that's part of why I've not been making a video. So the other one that I finished, that I own, is The Battle of Malden, together with The Homecoming of Bjorthnoth, edited by Peter Grabowskis. This is a copy that I got for review, for Open Letters Review. At some point in time, hopefully that'll be up, and you can go and check out that review. But spoiler alert, I loved it. This was a book that is exactly my wheelhouse right here. It's Tolkien. Battle of Malden's one of my favorite Old English pieces of literature. Homecoming of Bjorthnoth is a fun, alliterative treatment of Tolkien's imaginings of some of the aftermath after the Battle of Malden. It's got one of his lectures in here on Old English versification. Like, exactly my wheelhouse here. I loved every bit of this. But I can't recommend it to just anybody, because most people are probably going to be like, okay, how does this tie into Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit? And the author does make an attempt in the final pages to make that connection, and I don't know. I think he's grasping at straws on some of it. But regardless, what an enjoyable, such an enjoyable read for me. Easily going to be among my favorite reads of the year. Speaking of favorite reads of the year, under normal circumstances, this would be something that I'd probably spend the next 3 years just chipping away at. Or, 3 months, year, whatever. But I'm trying to get through it fast. I'm doing it very successfully, for the most part. And that is this monster of a book, The History of the Hobbit. For size. Okay. For size. This was easy to review. This is a mountain to climb. And I'm enjoying so much of this, except the pressure I'm putting on myself to try to get through it fast. I mean, I was never told any kind of a deadline. My editor is super great to work with, has not put any kind of pressure on me. It's all self-inflicted, but I feel like I need to get through it fast so that I can get the review up on this and into my editor's hands. I know it's all self-inflicted, and it has put me in mostly a reading slump. For the last 5-6 days, I've barely touched anything to read, because every time I want to read something, I know in the back of my mind, this is what I should be reading. And I just hit a wall. Where I'm just like, I'm not enjoying it. As you can see, I am most of the way through now. This is over 900 pages. I am in the 700 somethings. I am at 731. I'm close. I hope to finish it this week, because I'd like to move on to other reads. And I'd just like to get the review done, because I'm excited to get another review out there. And yeah, this is one, if you just want to read The Hobbit, there are better volumes. This is pricey, and what this is the pre-published versions of The Hobbit with tons of notes, tons of making connections to different characters and items and ideas, and just beyond fascinating. This is a scholarly volume that, as a Tolkien fan, I will pore over for the rest of my life and revisit time and again. Just like the annotated Hobbit, just like the History of Middle-earth, when I finally get around to reading those, I need to do that. This is the kind of book that I can geek out about. And if you have any interest in any of that at all, this is a good volume to get. So, my current reads other than that. Oh, I almost forgot the one I don't have here. I finished listening to Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. My goodness, what a great modern science fiction book. Was it the best book I've ever read? No. Was it the best science fiction I've ever read? No. But was it really enjoyable? Yes. It was massive and long and epic at times, and opens things wide open. And at some point in time, I'm going to check out Fractal Noise, because I do want to read the prequel now. So, definitely recommend that one if you're not intimidated by massive science fiction. This is part of my problem right here. Is this. This is book 3 in the Hyperion Cantos. I picked it up about a week and a half ago, needing something to read in the car and not wanting to haul this and try to read that. So I grabbed this. Big mistake. I'm almost 200 pages in. So I'm almost a third of the way through. I'm enjoying every minute of it. This is what I want to be reading right now, but I'm trying to be disciplined and telling myself no more until I finish the History of the Hobbit, because it's time to get that one out of my way. Then I can freely go back into this. I am enjoying every minute of it. And then the last thing I'm currently reading is Analog Science Fiction in Fact. This is the May-June issue of 2023. I'm buddy reading this with Greg from Another Bibliophile Reads, who is a fantastic buddy reader. We've done a couple of different short story collections together, and I think we're both in the same place on this as we have been on a lot of the other ones that we've read. In that everything that we've read so far is pretty much forgettable. We're closing in on about the halfway point, I think. But we do have the big novella still to come, and so I'm hoping that turns the corner for us. And now last, but certainly not least, we have the comics. So one of the comics I'm currently reading, just slowly when I'm needing just a comic to fill in the gap. If I'm too tired to read a normal book, or if I just want something a little easier on the eyes or on the brain, I'll grab some Thor and I'll read some Thor. I'm not very far in it. There's a lot of issues in here, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. Okay. I read Flashpoint in a single sitting, pretty much. One evening, I read this entire thing. Just had a random, wild urge to pick up Flashpoint and read it, and I did enjoy it, for the most part. Not knowing a lot of the connections, not knowing a lot of the references, not knowing half the characters that I see, because I'm not very familiar with DC, other than, exposure to the movies that you would expect, the Batman, some of the Superman, and the early seasons of Arrow and Flash. That's about the extent of my DC background. So there's a lot that went way over my head in here. But my understanding is this is what led into the New 52. Which I do have a little bit of New 52 stuff on my shelf that I need to get to. But when I dive back into DC, it's probably going to be Man of Steel next. So in continuing my X-Men, I read the New Mutants and X-Force. So this is Demon Bear Saga. So it has the 3-issue series that ran originally in New Mutants. And it has, I think, 2 or 3 issues of later reappearances of the Demon Bear. So both for New Mutants and X-Force. And what made me want to pick this one up to read along the way was because before this I got an interlibrary loan for The Fall of the Mutants, which had half of it covered X-Men during an event that happened, which was really, really fun and interesting and good. I got to know a little bit more about Forge as an X-Men. And after that, the second half was New Mutants, dealing with the problem of Bird Boy, which was enjoyable and got me. It was my very, very first exposure to pretty much all of those mutants. And it made me want to read more New Mutants, so I rolled right into Demon Bear, knowing it was a very, very thin volume, and enjoyed that. And just this morning, I finished House of X Powers of 10, which is a mind-warping, very recent volume. This was 2019 when these issues came out, running parallel. And so this collected volume puts them in publication order, because my understanding is they were 2 6-issue series that were running kind of together alongside each other. And you could read House of X and be okay. You could get some of what was going on, but you really needed to read also Power of 10 alongside it to really get the full story. There's a lot I didn't understand. I did listen to a podcast that went on for about 2.5 hours on this 12-issue arc and really explained a lot of things that I would not have caught. One that I probably will reread at some point in time to see how much more it makes sense as I've read more. But it also makes me really want to read some of these new volumes of X-Men. Dawn of X, Fall of X, X of Swords. So this was done by Jonathan Hickman. I'm interested now. I'm curious. So there we go. I've gone on far longer than I wanted to. I've gone on long enough. It's been a while. Sorry. And like I alluded to, I'm probably not going to try to jump back in full hog. We'll see if I get to a video a weekend. That'll be the goalpost that I'm going to shoot for. Because I do miss talking with my BookTube friends. But I do also like the extra time I've found that I've been able to carve out for some other things. So, thanks in part to History of the Hobbit and illnesses and classwork and what have you. So, I'm trying to be a little healthier with the balance and to not make it all about reading. I've gotten a little bit of writing, not as much as I'd like, but I'd like to get more writing in. Maybe this will just turn into AuthorTube at some point in time. Who knows? Anyway, I've gone on long enough. I will catch you later. Thank you, BookTube.